Gentlemen. I've returned to do another video. Try to keep it under half an hour, as always. Which is a long video, really. Who has half an hour to listen to me just talk? But apparently, somebody might. In fact, a few do already. I've received a little bit of feedback, particularly my Alien 1 through 4 video didn't really say much about what I thought. It was more just very surface level, and truth be told, I don't really prepare for anything. I just talk I just get started on a topic and just go. Really, I don't have pages that I pour over. I don't have any notes. In the case of the Alien films, I hadn't watched them in years, so I just kind of went with it. At the very least, you can get a sense of just how I think, the way my voice sounds, and I'm a SoCal native English speaker, so perhaps you can try to, if you're not fluent in English, you can listen to how I piece together sentences, my syntax and diction, and do something with that to maybe improve your own English skills. Not saying anything to other fellow native Californians. I'm more speaking to the international audience that might be struggling with the language. There might be something to that as well, I have been told. But I am going to try to stay a little more on point. As usual, though, I am drinking. Today I have a Gnarly Head Merlot from, is this the new year? This is a 2015. I had one a few weeks ago, and it was a 2012, and the cork had started to deteriorate because they actually use a real cork. Anyway, Gnarly Head Merlot, 2015, $8 for a bottle is a steal. It's actually pretty amazing at that price. But we drinking a nice 15% wine. Be true, be you, in 2020. And where the heck did I put that cork? Oh. And we're aerating it properly in our goblet glass. Is that what you call it? I think it's just a wine glass, but this one to me just seems like a little bit bigger. It's kind of big. I mean, you'll see when I drink it. Look. You want a bigger glass to really, you gotta I think I probably filled it I think I got it to the right. I'm not a sommelier, but you gotta kind of give it a little twirl there little oxygen there to open up the flavors. Ooh, almost went over there. My hope is that drinking this, I'll get progressively drunker. Also, and that will make the video better. I'm making a sacrifice, you see. I just chugged this real quick. It's called Tea Riot, something I picked up locally. It's made in Venice Beach. It says positive energy, and the cool thing about it is it's cold pressed juice with tea leaves and stuff in it as well, and it's 60% pure cold pressed juice, vegan, non-GMO, organic, and has L-theanine, and it's equivalent to a shot of espresso with the caffeine. And it's super cool, made in the USA, made right here in Venice Beach, actually, which is just down the street. So I just had it. I drank the whole thing in like a minute, and it was very drinkable. I give it an A++++++++. If it wasn't so expensive, I would probably drink it every single morning, but still, it's cheaper than going to Starbucks and getting a venti caramel macchiato or whatever and just screwing up your whole day. But hopefully that caffeine's going to kick in. This is going to start kicking in. And we're going to kick this video into high gear within the next few minutes, because I'm going to get into today a topic that I alluded to, or actually not alluded to. I mentioned I was going to get into it in the last video. I don't know what got my mind thinking about it, but it came up for some reason. And so it's Army of Darkness. A film that I think everybody who talks about movies, it seems like on YouTube, has one. I know Red Letter Media, I think, has one. I haven't watched it. They have a review, but I'm going to watch it probably after this, just to see their take after I give my take. And that was something that was spinning around in my head, as well as the fact that I've seen some other reviewers talk about it. I think there's some people that just gush about it like it's the greatest thing ever. I don't understand those people. It's a deeply flawed film. It's all over the place tonally. It's got so many problems. Probably behind the scenes production. It's low budget. It's punching above its weight. It's also brilliant and compelling and endlessly watchable and quotable. I'll try to remember some quotes. As usual, I'm not prepared. I think the last time I saw Army of Darkness was 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, I watched it with my then girlfriend, and we had a great time. We were, I guess, can I say this? I'm trying to keep the channel family friendly, and but we were, let's say we did some preparation before going into the movie. We didn't go in cold. And she had no idea what it was. She'd never seen Evil Dead. I saw Evil Dead when I was, I think, 12 or 13. I rented it from Alamo Video on VHS. It was one of those, do I have one here? Yeah, I got one. Look, maybe I am prepared after all. This is my, unfortunately I left it in the trunk of my car too long, and the plastic, I'm so bummed out, the plastic case split, because this is my mint condition copy of Fantasia on VHS. It's so crisp. I think it's been watched maybe once. It's super clean, and I don't know. I've heard that there's a version of it on VHS that's worth a lot more because it's cut differently. So I don't know if this is that one. That version's like worth hundreds of dollars, but I'm really bummed out because I left it in the car and it shrunk the plastic and caused it to crack. So and this was very recently because I actually had brought it over to a friend's house and we watched it. And this was like 3-4 months ago, and we watched it on VHS. And since then, I left it in the trunk of my car where it got super, super hot, and now it's freaking ruined, whereas before it was in mint condition. So I can't believe I did that to Fantasia, especially if it's the rare version, because that one's worth like hundreds of dollars, and I just basically devalued it because obviously in a high grade it's worth more. So, and I'll get into that another time. I'll talk about sort of the buying, selling, trading aspect of VHS tapes, and maybe show off a few of my own, and also talk about some other collectors' stuff that I have, because I definitely have collections of things. But more than that, I study things so that if I ever see them, I can find them, because I only really collect things to sell. There's always a profit motive. There's only a few things I have that I just keep for me that I would never sell. I have some super rare stuff that it would break my heart to have to sell, but you never know. I might fall on hard times, and if that happens, then I got something really, really unique and valuable. That's not your run-of-the-mill stuff where people are like, oh my god, I got this really special thing, and then you go on eBay and it's like there's like 50 of them available, and they're like $9.99 with free shipping, and you're like, yeah, that's great. You know, you're a champ, kid. You're gonna make it to the big leagues for sure. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just spouting platitudes, as usual, as Q would say. So, my girlfriend at the time she had no idea what Evil Dead was. She doesn't know about the Necronomicon. She doesn't know about the Kandari curse and the cabin in the woods where the entity resides, or the way that the things that possess you aren't really... it's like a demonic possession that you don't turn into like a zombie. It's more like you're possessed by demons. So that's something that I think some people misconstrue about the films. They think they're just like mindless zombies, and that's probably not reinforced by the fact that in Army of Darkness, more specifically titled, I believe, Bruce Campbell versus Army of Darkness, there are a lot of mindless drones, sort of, but they kind of have their own personalities too. But it's very different than the Evil Dead films. I don't really know what they were really going for, Sam Raimi, and I think his brother Ted. The first time I'd seen anything from them, I was a kid. I was just a wee lad, 7 years old, maybe 8, and I was watching Hercules and Xena. Hercules and Aeolus, the legendary journeys. Xena, warrior princess with Lucy Lawless, who later comes back to be in Bruce Campbell versus Evil Dead, or whatever it's called, that TV show. I need to watch the TV show. I haven't actually watched it yet, so I know, and everybody's telling me you got to check it out. So I know it went for 3 seasons and got canceled, and I think there's 30 episodes. But definitely looking forward to checking that out. I think when I found out that Raimi only directed the first episode and then he sort of handed it over to other people. I know they always do that in TV, but It still kind of bummed me out a little because he's got a certain, like, Raimi used to direct, I think he used to direct pretty much all the Hercules and Xena episodes. At least all the, I don't want to say for sure. I might be wrong about that. Maybe he was just an executive producer, but still the best moment in Hercules has to be disappointed. I guess it was like a cue in the script, and Kevin Sorbo just read the cue, and he was supposed to express disappointment, but he just took it literally and yelled disappointed. And then I think is that in the episode though, when they're all like standing at the urinals and they're like whistling the theme song? Anybody who hasn't seen Hercules is going to be like, what the heck? They're standing at urinals whistling their own theme song. Yeah, it was a crazy show. It was a nutty show, but for the most part it was played straight, but every now and then there'd be some completely off the wall bonkers episode, but that had to be probably the most off the wall, most bonkers episode, that particular one. I really do want to go back and rewatch it. I have a feeling that it's not going to hold up. When I first saw those, that show, like the CGI probably seemed like cutting edge, and now it would be like the most laughable thing ever. Who knows? I mean, obviously it has to be because it didn't have that big of a budget. But Raimi, went on to obviously get a lot of money. After he did Army of Darkness, he did Dark Man, keeping with that dark theme. And Dark Man has who's the guy in Dark Man? It's not Bruce Campbell. It's what's his face, isn't it? It's Liam Neeson. Always wanted to see Dark Man. I guess it has some crappy sequels as well, but always wanted to check Dark Man out. I know Bruce Campbell's in that as well. Raimi and Bruce Campbell go way back. They actually were in school together. I think maybe even elementary school. It was like Michigan or like one of those upper Midwestern states. I skimmed over Bruce Campbell's book, If Chins Could Kill, years ago because I was really interested in his persona. And because I had watched Evil Dead and Army of Darkness as a kid, like I must have been like 12 or 13. When Army of Darkness came out, I think that was 1990 or 91, maybe 92 or 93 even. I'm not sure. It's definitely an early 90s film. You can tell watching it. It has that tone. That just sort of early 90s feel that can never be duplicated again, where it's like too early for CGI of any sort. And they just do practical effects on everything, and, budgetary limitations aside, it's really cool seeing a lot of those effects in Army of Darkness. But I was way too young to enjoy it when it first came out. I saw it because I would have been, I was born in 87, so I would have been like, 4 or 5 years old. And when I saw it, the movie was probably 6 or 7 years old at that point, and I was at 12 or 13. And I remember having a great time. I remember it being really funny at certain moments and just loving it. Because I was always kind of crazy about horror movies. I would always go to Alamo Video and go back to the horror section and the sci-fi section, those walls. They had horror just to the right of the adult section with the double doors, like the saloon doors. Just to the right of that, there was the... and you could always catch a glimpse of something behind those doors and wonder, what's going on back there? So, still, like, my eggs hadn't fully ripened, let's say. I'm really trying to keep this channel family friendly, so my eggs hadn't ripened yet, but I was very curious what was going on back there. But my parents were permissive, and they let me watch horror movies, even if they were rated R. They just had to kind of glance at the box and make sure that there wasn't anything too crazy. But I saw some crazy stuff. I would put the VHSs in, and I would sit on the couch by myself after everybody else went to sleep, and I would watch horror movies because I just wanted to do that, and my parents let me do that. And I watched dozens and dozens of just campy, schlocky, movies, and just loved them. I thought they were great, and I didn't see all the flaws and faults and bad acting or poor set work and sound design and lighting problems. I didn't see all that. I enjoyed the movies, and they were brilliant to me, and I loved them all. For the most part, even the really, really bad ones, like sometimes freaked me out and disturbed me for days on end, and I enjoyed that. I liked having my reality messed with as a kid. So I watched Army of Darkness. Well, I started with Evil Dead, and it came in that big plastic box, and it said it had like a Stephen King quote. Had like a Stephen King quote that said like well, there were two of them. They're Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2: Dead by Dawn. The Stephen King one said like, it's a true experience in grueling horror or something like that. I was like, oh, Stephen King said that, and it was a pretty freaky movie. There's like images that are stuck in my head forever from the first Evil Dead, even though it's super low budget. It's super awesome. If you haven't seen it before, check it out. It's such a great artistic achievement for a bunch of amateur filmmakers and actors who really didn't. I think they were all in over their head a bit, but the end result is legendary at this point. It's an iconic film. It's a midnight movie. It's a cult classic, and Evil Dead 2 improves upon it in every way except for continuity. Evil Dead 2 is really, I mean, it's superior to the first movie, but it's kind of like the, by the way, I have shorts on. You just saw my leg. I'm not naked from the waist down, I swear. I am wearing my running shorts, so don't get any ideas, man. I come to work fully clothed. And so Evil Dead 2 is so great. Like, I would have to make a video just on Evil Dead 2. It's the best one. It's my personal favorite. But I think Army of Darkness is more entertaining to talk about because it's the one where they just go full tilt, no holds barred, as they say, balls to the wall, just throw it all and see what sticks. Throw it into the fan blades and see how far we can fling the crap. It takes itself so seriously, and at the same time it doesn't take itself seriously at all. And I've never seen a movie quite like that. There are aspects of Army of Darkness that are just astonishing. Like the music is so great. You know, it gets stuck in my head all the time. Just it has that like sort of Batman music almost, and it doesn't surprise me because it's he doesn't do the music for most of it. He only has, I think, one musical number, but it all kind of feels sort of Danny Elfman-esque. And it kind of has that Batman vibe, and Elfman did the score for Batman. Elfman also did one of the songs. I can't remember if he did the one where all the Deadites are marching towards the castle. You know, or if he did he might have done both. But I know the general music of the film is somebody else. But he might have also done that great montage music. So cool. Great music. Just has a terrific introduction. The introduction sort of revises the ending of Evil Dead 2, where they immediately view Ash as a hero. In Army of Darkness, you get a little bit of a sort of obviously they sort of recap the second film, but they change it again, and like I said, I haven't seen it in a few years, but they make it different again. And when he falls from the sky with that, was that like an Eldorado or something? Like, what is that car? It's a super cool car. It's a super cool like 1970s car that you see. It's like an Oldsmobile, I think. It falls, and then there's so many great moments. I'm gonna go through so many great moments in this movie. I bet this review could end up longer than the movie itself until my phone runs out of like space and I'm still ranting about this movie. I love the way that the guys in armor, the chainmail, the knights it's King Arthur's knights are like hitting the car like, what kind of armor is this? And they're like batting at the car like it's a threat. And it's just sitting there like not working at all. And Ash has one of the best introductions. I mean, it starts out with him like in shackles, and he's like, "How did I get here?" You know. And Bruce Campbell's just deadpan delivery is so classic and iconic. I was a man once. I had a life once, and you get to see like a little bit of that, like him working at, thanks for visiting. Shop Smart, Shop S Smart, and he's just like a clerk in like the gun section. It's like a Walmart. He's like selling rifles. So funny, and comes into play later in the film in an epic way. Sorry, I don't know what it is. I've had sort of I don't know what it is. I might have COVID, so I need to self-quarantine. I need to drink more wine. That'll help my throat clear up. But yeah, I apologize. I didn't think I was gonna be coughing. Like an actual a proper YouTube channel would just cut that out. But this isn't a proper YouTube channel. We're very low budget, just like Army of Darkness. We're just chit-chatting like friends. Cat. That was me clearing my throat at my cat, who's going to come and join me possibly. But I think she's too terrified. Are you terrified? Because I'm doing something weird? She's like, I don't know why you're talking so much. She's just like all the people watching my channel right now. Anyway, he's walking and getting whipped. He's like, and the music's like, din, 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 din. And they let him into the castle, and and he's a prisoner, and he's been captured with Duke Henry's men, or is it one of Henry's men, Henry says like, I've never seen you before, and who are you? And you're and he's getting in the castle, and it turns out that they're being captured. They've all been captured because they lost a battle, but a lot of the King Arthur's men died in this battle. So it's already setting up this confrontation between the two factions. And that's when you meet the character, and I can't remember her name, but she's not really acting all that great, but it's so great watching her act because she's like related to somebody who died in the battle, and when she sees them, she's just kind of giving them the evil eye. But when she talks to Arthur, she finds out that her brother like fell in battle, and so she runs up to Ash and like spits in his face and like tears his hair. And I can't remember if I can't remember exactly at what point that King Henry or Duke Henry says, I've never seen you before, you're not one of my men. And I think Ash says something like, listen, friend, or listen, pal, you ain't talking but two words right now, Jack and I think I can say shit. Can I say shit? You ain't talking but two words right now, Jack and shit. And Jack just left town. Normally it would be like, that would be like the dumbest, cheesiest line, but the way that Bruce Campbell's character Ash delivers lines, you just buy it. He's deadpan, he's heroic, he's believable, he's got a great chiseled face, and he genuinely is selling you on this ridiculous movie, and that's what's so brilliant about it. That's really what holds it all together. Is that just incredible performance from Bruce Campbell, even though he's surrounded by a lot of other actors that are sort of just like, not really actors, or not even like character actors. Like, I can't give an example just on the spot, but there's a lot of, people who's like, oh, I know that face. And there's really not a whole lot of that in this movie, unless you're like a super cinephile. Then you could probably point out some people that I don't recognize, but I don't recognize many people in the film. I'm sure they all have, great IMDb, lists, but for me personally, it's like the only thing I would know them from is this movie. But Bruce Campbell is interacting with everyone in such a great way. I love that the setup, the building, when you of tension when you realize that they're all going to be sacrificed into this pit, and after the kind of standoff between Henry and I keep wanting to call him a different name, but I guess it's King Arthur. It's so ridiculous that that's King Arthur from like the that French book from like the 1600s, and then but people don't know about that, but I've read like I guess it's like the kind of like the Excalibur King Arthur. Is that what it is? Man, Excalibur, that's a good movie. I got to watch that again. I can't believe I've been talking for 23 minutes. This is definitely going to go way over half an hour, so my apologies. I cannot keep this one under half an hour, unfortunately. I've been able to do that up until now, but I'm like 5 minutes into this movie, but I'm 24 minutes into this review. But I'm going to try to keep up this manic intensity at the very least. Let's get it kicking. Maybe you're at work trying to get something accomplished, and you're just listening to me cough and hack and wheeze my way through this review, which is done in one take, live. If anything happens, then we're just going to keep it. We're going to keep it in there until inevitably my phone either dies or runs out of storage space, which either of those will probably happen less than 2 minutes before I'm actually going to wrap things up. And yeah, this guy told me like I need to focus more on like bullet points and getting through what I need to say. Maybe on some level, this is sort of like me saying, nah, I'm just gonna do things the way I do it, and let the chips fall where they may. If you're bored, you can just go watch something else. I'm not gonna do that Jeremy Johns thing where it's just like blah, 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 and I cut out like every like dead second. No, I'll probably at some point just start stroking my chin whiskers and start meditating on a certain aspect of this film. But anyway, the girl rips out some of Ash's hair. You hear this like hair tearing sound, and you realize that they're all going to be sacrificed. There's this great shot with this old lady, and you see her you hear her off camera, into the pit, and then you see her like on camera, and she's like walking up. She's like, with those bloodthirsty sons of war, and then she's barely done talking when she takes a big bite of bread, just like giant loaf of bread. It's like such a ridiculous. It's such a Raimi shot. I mean, and if you watch the Spider-Man films, you get that sense of his sort of flair, his style. I don't know what executive ever greenlit giving Raimi Spider-Man, but I even like Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 2 is amazing. First one has some limitations in terms of budget and it doesn't quite work. The first one, even so, I give like Spider-Man 1, the first one, a 6.5. I would give Spider-Man 2 like an 8.5, which for me is insane for a superhero movie. And then I would give Spider-Man 3 like a 7. I think it's got a lot going on that works and a lot, of course, that doesn't. But what works really well. So Spider-Man 3 gets a really bad rap, but if you watch it years later, you'll find it's really actually a pretty cool movie. But anyway, it's not as bad as people say. That's for dang sure. But anyway, so they're going in the pit. The first guy gets sacrificed in the pit, and then the blood geyser, which is like most ridiculous. That's when you realize, like, what the heck movie am I watching? I think as an audience member, seeing it going in cold, you see like the geyser of blood, and you're like, okay, I don't know what I just saw, but this is really strange. This film is tripping me out. Maybe I'll just cut it off at half an hour, clear my throat for a few minutes, and come back and do the second part. What do you guys think? I think I might have to do that. But anyway, because at this point I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it. I think I'll stop at about half an hour, drink some more, clear my throat a bit, and come back and actually really get into this movie, because I feel like this is all set up with no payoff. But so we'll call this like the premonition, like that Eminem track, Premonition. That's what this is. This is the prelude to the actual review where I get into my thoughts on the film itself. But anyway, Ash, that will hopefully be only half an hour more. I love how he starts like bargaining with them. He's like, hey man, I never even seen these assholes before. And, you do see like some establishing shots of like the Merlin character. He is genuinely curious, and he has access to his weapon, the chainsaw. And he's I think there's a shot where he's like pondering what it might be. And it's just not happening. He's like telling Henry, he's like, Henry, you got to tell him, man. You got to tell him we never even met. Like you don't know me. And I love this like Scottish accent from this character. He's like, I do not think they'll listen, lad. He's like he's like reading from the playbook of like James Doohan, Scotty from Star Trek, for those who don't know. I do not think you listen, lad. And it's hilarious when they finally push him into the pit, and he does topples over and like does like a somersault down in the water. And that's sort of when the movie begins. He kicks there's a zombie in there. It's so ridiculous. Like, first there's a blood geyser, but when he's down there, he's actually like doing some kung fu moves with the zombie thing, and the zombie's like doing like crazy like pinwheel like action moves, and it's so freaking absurd and amazing, and it's just pure bliss. The whole action scene down there, and then he thinks that it's over, but then another one of them comes out, but not before it becomes clear that Ash knows what he's doing, and the priest, or not the priest, but the Merlin. Is he a priest or is he a wizard? I'm not sure. There's that great shot where where he says, "Strange one," and tosses down the chainsaw, and Ash just jumps up and it goes just like chink, and I think he like grabs with his teeth the pull string or whatever, and the chainsaw just like roars to life, and that's when like crap is about to get real, man. It's gonna happen. It is going down now. Limbs flying everywhere. One of the hands like flies up and like there's this like person looking down like to see all the action, which I don't even know if that's possible because this like set down there is like massive for this possessed spirit zombie creature thing to like pinwheel around. Like how big is it down there? And especially the scene where they start with the spikes. They start to close in on them, and those spikes, like, I swear, like, there's some shots where you think the spikes are right there. Did they do that in Star Wars as well? Like, where the trash compactor scene, like, it seems like it's about to close in on them, but then there's, like, another shot where it's, like, way back there again. I always laugh at those things. Like, the spikes are closing in, they're almost closed in, and then you see another shot, and it's like, maybe it was just that angle, because now the spikes seem, like, really far away again. Are they doing that intentionally, or is that just sort of like the Wilhelm scream at this point? And yeah, that other thing, like, I love how there's that other creature down there, like, it makes that sound, and it almost sounds like it's starting up a chainsaw inside of itself, like when it just pops out from the wall. If I was seeing that in theaters as a kid, I would have been freaked out at that part, because that zombie is creepy looking. Even though it doesn't have, like, any mechanical motion in its face, it's still just, like, really evil and creepy looking with its white eyes and just, like, gross, slimy flesh. And anyway, Ash, he takes a belt and it like wraps like Indiana Jones style, like wraps around the chain. So as it's closing in on the spikes, he starts moving up, but then the thing's like grabbing him again, but he dispatches that thing in the end and it ends up getting crushed on the spikes. And now the movie begins, and 31 minutes in, I don't know how I did that. I'll actually get started with my review of the film, but actually, in reality, it'll probably just go off the rails and become a complete mess once again, as it has been so far, because the only difference now is that I'm even more inebriated. And when I come back in maybe 10 or 20 minutes to finish this off, I will be drunker still. And much like Ash in the film, things will really begin to fall apart for me, I predict. But let's give it a chance. Stay tuned for part 2.